You learn that trick from? He said, Hubert Humphrey. And it worked.
While senators clamored for photo opportunities, Colby devised a strategy to save his agency.
If you try to hide every possible imperfection, it'll blow up in your face and you'll be worse off. Whereas if you can control it and be responsive and give them an honest feeling of what the whole thing is about, then I think you can survive one of these things.
You've heard of the doctrine of plausible deniability.
Yes, and I've rejected it now, Senator. I say that we cannot depend upon that anymore.
So you don't find the work of this committee unwelcome?
No, I do not. As I've said to the chairman, I welcome the chance to try to describe to the American people what intelligence is really about today. It is an opportunity to show how we Americans have modernized the whole concept of intelligence.
Colby's decision to cooperate was unpopular with some former CIA leaders who tried to hold on to the agency's secrets.
You were specifically asked about shellfish toxins and shellfish poisons. You say it's inconceivable that a secret intelligence arm of the government has to comply with all the overt orders of the government. Is that an accurate quote or not an accurate quote?
Well, if it's accurate, it shouldn't have been said.
Well, now,
Looks like we're on plausible denial again, is all I can say here, Mr. Chairman.
Well, you're never entirely sure because, after all, many of the people in the CIA have been trained to lie. That's their job, to spread propaganda overseas. Not that all of our propaganda are lies. In fact, most of it is an effort to reinforce the truth of what America stands for. But some of the propaganda is lies. So you're dealing with people here who have been trained to mislead when they need to. But all you can do, and all we did, was to ask as many people, as many questions as we possibly could, and when we found contradictions, to pursue those contradictions by asking yet more people.
If one has in one's possession or under one's control bacteriological or chemical weapons, they can be used both defensively and offensively.
And by use offensively, we mean to include killing people, is that right?
Well, they have the capacity to kill people if they were used in that way.
Unrestrained, illegal, secret intimidation and harassment of the essential ability of Americans to participate freely in American political life shall never happen again.
And suddenly it all began to roll out. The IRS was targeting thousands of Americans for tax investigations in order to chill activity on their part that they didn't like. The U.S. Army was conducting surveillance of civilians in civilian life. There was a whole pattern of this running throughout government. And it was, of course, once you saw what was going on, it was a shock. We saw the tip of an iceberg that could have destroyed American liberty.
Methods for assassinating Castro already existed. This is Fort Detrick, Maryland. This once secret facility was home to CIA experiments with drugs like LSD. It was also an armory for the agency's executive action capability, a program begun under the Eisenhower administration for disposing of unwanted foreign leaders. Some of the plots called for lethal poisons that were manufactured here. Dr. Everett Hennell, a microbiologist at Fort Detrick for 3 decades, worked in association with the CIA.
These are what we call Class 3 cabinet systems. They're gas-tight systems for working with almost complete safety with any infectious diseases, toxins, things such as the shellfish toxin. They're very toxic indeed, particularly when highly purified. And I understand that these could be placed on steel needles and fired with air guns into an animal and induce death almost immediately. So that they were apparently a very effective, or could be a very effective type of covert weapon.
But the real targets of these deadly drugs were not animals.
Well, now that you've seen the gun, And now that you know that the shellfish toxin did exist, and that this weapon was capable of firing it in pellets or on needles and killing animals and people, things take a more sinister turn. And Bill Cooper's not quite as crazy as everyone thought he was in the beginning. To show you the best copy that we have of the Zapruder film, crystal clear, sharp color. You can see everything that happens in that automobile and around it. Clear as a bell. Before we show you that film, though, we're going to show you a picture of Lee Harvey Oswald standing in the doorway of the school book depository building on the ground floor. And I'm going to tell you that the Warren Commission and the 1976 House Select Committee on Assassinations both knew about this photograph and rejected it. Then we're going to show you a picture of Oswald in custody wearing the exact same clothes. Exactly. No difference whatsoever. Now, because there are some out there who claim that the man standing in the doorway was a man named Lovelace or Lovelady, we did body measurement proportion comparison analysis between the man in the doorway and Lee Harvey Oswald in captivity. There is no doubt whatsoever, ladies and gentlemen, that the man in the doorway is Lee Harvey Oswald. Examine the photographs, and you judge for yourself. Wraps it up. The only thing you've got left to see is the crystal clear, sharp, beautiful color copy of the Zapruder film that I'm now going to show you. It's going to knock your socks off, and it's going to prove to you once and for all that William Greer did shoot President Kennedy in Dallas. And for those of you who always thought that the weapon was a reflection of the sun on Agent Kellerman's head, I want you to notice that in this film, the barrel of the gun sticks out past the back of Kellerman's head by at least 2, maybe 3 inches. There is no doubt it is not a reflection. It is a weapon. William Greer did shoot the president. You can see him bring that weapon up across his chest, turn completely around in the seat, and fire at point-blank range as he's facing directly at the president. Then you can see him bring that weapon back down across his chest. You'll see him hump down, grab the steering wheel, as Agent Kellerman humps down also. And then and only then does the car speed out of the kill zone. You must understand when you watch this film, ladies and gentlemen, that these are trained Secret Service agents. The only people in that car who did what they were supposed to do was Governor and Mrs. Connolly. They got down on the floor. The driver of the car was not supposed to turn around, nor was he supposed to draw a weapon. He was supposed to get that car out of the kill zone as quickly and as efficiently as possible. The agent in the front seat was supposed to draw his gun, attempt to discover the assassins, and return fire. Neither one of those 2 men did what they were trained to do.